I think most DTC brands don't plateau because they run out of customers. They plateau because they run out of the right systems. And the wild part is that Alex Hormozi has already documented the exact rules that separate brands that scale from brands that stall. Hey guys, I'm Wes, and I help DTC brands scale faster with conversion-focused ads. Over the last 5 years, I've created thousands of ad creatives, generating over 20 plus million in revenue for multiple brands. So today I'll break down 7 lessons from Hormozi that every DTC brand need to scale profitably in 2026. Number one is don't obsess over targeting, obsess over creative. Hormozi has a line that every DTC founder I think should memorize, and that is market, message, and moment. So if you get those three right, everything else becomes noise. And I think this applies perfectly to DTC ads because your creative is the targeting. Your ad has to figure out the market, who is it talking to? The messaging has to filter what's relevant to that specific market and why should they buy? And most importantly, at what specific moment in their life should the ad catch them? In other words, when is the messaging relevant to them? Here's an example. If you're selling one of those workout bands, tons of them out there, your targeted market could be 35 plus moms. Your message could be getting fit does not mean spending hundreds of dollars in the gym every month. And the specific moment is that if they recently had a baby and so being at home makes sense to them. So you have the specific market, which is a new mom. You have the relevant message, which is a cheaper alternative than spending hundreds in the gym. And you have a specific life moment, which is they have to stay at home all the time. This creative is the targeting. Notice that it has to be very specific. The creative is the front door of the store. And if the front door sucks, then nobody's walking in, no matter how good the product is inside. And I think this is why DTC brands that are scaling right now are not in ads manager testing 6 different copies, 6 different small variations of the same ad. They're doing one thing consistently, and that is producing better creatives. Your ads are the biggest leverage in your ad account. And you can argue that, CBO, ABO, top, bottom funnel, CRO, all of this. But if the ads suck, nobody really eats at the end of the day. So if you want to build this creative engine yourself, that's great. And if you'd rather tap into a team that already does this at scale and has generated over 20 million in revenue for other brands, that's exactly what we do. And we help 7 to 9 figure DTC brands scale faster with meta creatives. By the way, we're a boutique agency, so we're very selective with the brands that we work with. And if you want the level of support, there's a link in the description. Lesson 2 is know where your customers actually come from. Hormozi talks a lot about removing uncertainty from your business. And I think that in the DTC, the biggest uncertainty is simply knowing what actually drove a customer to buy. Most brands rely on guesses and attribution windows or whatever Meta decides to report that day. But Hormozi's rule is really clear, which is data beats guessing every time. And I'm a huge proponent of the ad account deep dives. I think those matter, but there's more important stuff on top of that. And that is, believe it or not, the comment section of your highest engagement ad is a very important data point. So even your post-purchase surveys, those are important data. You can ask basic questions if you set up a post-purchase survey, like what made you buy today or what pushed you to buy today and this specific SKU. Knowing these things gives you so much more clarity than just watching courses and videos about psychology. When you aggregate all the data and you find out that what the real trigger is, the moment someone presses buy, you stop making blind creatives. Okay, lesson 3, increase AOV first, scale ads second. One of Hormozi's best lessons for DTC is this: businesses don't grow because their ads get better. They grow because their economics get better. If the AOV is low, you're fighting a losing battle. So think of ways how you can increase the value of your cart, of your AOV. Raising it can come from bundles, upsell items that add value. You can also add free gifts, tier upgrades. There's so many ways to do it. An example is AG1. Adding free stuff on their introductory pack. There's also Pet Lab Co. decreasing the per unit price as you increase your order value. So the through line within these is that you have to increase the perceived value relative to the price. We saw one of our brands do this actually they doubled their ticket price and framed it as a BOGO offer. On the front end, which means still the same unit economics, that increased their AOV drastically. And we were thinking of ways on how to increase it, and well, getting them to order more of the same thing would be one way. And this gave us more flexibility in terms of the CPMs and the CPAs that the ads can take before becoming unprofitable. Now, I can't say that this will work 100% of the time. It really depends on the market and also the product, but most brands try to scale ads before for their economics, and that's why they burn cash as they get more volume. Number 4 is study your unit economics like a CEO, not a creator. Numbers tell the truth, people lie. Most DTC founders run their business on vibes instead of actual numbers, and that's exactly why they struggle to scale. And I think Hormozi puts it perfectly. You aren't ready to scale if you can't answer the basic question about your economics. Everyone wants to talk about the top line revenue, the ad spend, the ROAS. Those are easy to see and they're sexy. They'll keep the ad account alive. But what about how much does it cost to acquire a new customer? How much does one customer actually make you? What's your break-even new customer ROAS? What's your CPA ceiling? What's the lifetime value of one customer? If you're under 7 figures, knowing these are probably not that big of a deal because you just want to scale. But if you're planning on inventory ahead of time, scaling your creatives, hiring other people, these are unsexy, but the basic stuff can really kill you if you don't know it. And in my experience, we don't even work with a brand who does not know these figures. It just means that they're scaling emotionally, and to us, that's a ticking time bomb. Number 5 would be nurture customers after they buy. Hormozi has a line every DTC brand should live by. That is, the most profitable money you can make is money from customers you already have. But the way most brands act, you'd think the purchase was the finish line, because it's not. The purchase is just the starting line. Once somebody buys, that's the easiest opportunity to build loyalty, to increase lifetime value, and to turn a one-time buyer into a repeat buyer. And that comes from simple as thank you emails and tags, email/SMS offers, even birthday greetings and offers. Those are really useful too. I would say even sharing what's behind the scenes of your brand, that adds to the authenticity of your brand. And I think a huge one that every brand should start doing is building a Facebook community where people can share their journey with your product. I think this is also a good tactic, which is reposting/engaging with your customers on socials. And of course, new line drops, new product drops. You want to give people that love your first product another opportunity to love another product. And this is coming from a guy who focuses on making ads. So I'm more on the acquisition side, but I'm telling you, retention is the cheapest profit lever in DTC. Making and running ads is really, really expensive, but slipping a personalized thank you note on your high order value customer, that's not so expensive. And ironically, brands do not do all these things. Number 6 is frequency builds familiarity, and familiarity builds trust. Hormozi is big on repetition, and that's for a good reason. He says that if you're tired of saying it, they're just starting to hear it. And in DTC, this matters even more for premium brands. So if you're charging higher ticket prices, people need more touch points, more education, and more proof before they pull out their credit cards and starts buying from you, before they trust you. The brands that win aren't just dropping one great ad and just leaving it there. They're showing up consistently with new creatives, new angles, and new reminders of why they're the obvious choice. And if you're making your own ads or highly involved in it, it's pretty normal to feel that everything is just the same. You're all making the same things when you review your number 16 UGC video in a month. But I think you have to remember that you as the maker have seen all of these variations. You've seen all of these ads, but on the customer's perspective, they likely have only seen 1 or 2 ads from you. And so your personal opinion and your taste is it's not the data point to track here. When we make ads, we're not aiming to make one hit ad. We're not aiming to make one unicorn, although that's good. We want a steady stream for repeated visibility. We want a scalable system where every week, or even every 2 weeks, there's a new creative, a new angle that's coming out. And number 7, differentiate or die. This is pretty strong statement. Hormozi constantly says that you don't get paid for being similar, you get paid for being different. This is true in 99% of business. And I think this applies perfectly to DTC. If, for example, you're a skincare brand that's looking like every other skincare brand, or if you're an apparel brand that looks like other apparel brands, or if you're a health brand that's sounding like any other health brand, you really cannot just win on the ads alone. You have to win on positioning. But when people think of differentiation, they're mostly talking about the unique mechanism that they have. And what I mean by that is, here's an example. So if you're selling creatine supplement, you're selling the same creatine as 1,000 other brands out there. It gets absorbed in the body and the same way as the other creatine supplements does. But you can even say that your creatine has a flavor. But these are unique mechanism, or so you say, but these are not unique positioning. And I think positioning here is much, much more important because you're just competing on features alone, and people don't really buy features, they buy the results either physically or emotionally. So here's what a unique positioning looks like. This supplement helps improve memory of 55+ year old men and women. Another one is this supplement helps soccer athletes run faster on game day. Now you're competing on a different plane. You're no longer commoditized with the other creating brands out there. It's still the same product, but you now have a unique avatar, you have a unique desired result, and you have a unique pricing, which is a result of those other two. So it is something that separates you from the sea of sameness. All right. Those are the 7 biggest lessons from Alex Hormozi that are relevant to DTC brands when they actually apply them, in my opinion. So if you want help implementing these on your ads, that's literally what we do all day. There's a link below if you want to see if we're a good fit to work together.